Attention, this is a matter of national security. After a meteorite crashed into the New Jersey Turnpike, the following digital audio transmission from the You Watch I Listen podcast was intercepted by NASA scientists in the year 2019. The You Watch I Listen podcast is about to start. Sit down, listen close, and try not to die. The You Watch I Listen podcast starts now.
Hi. Yeah, as on the audio aspect of it, this is episode 70 of You Watch I Listen. This is going to be our week 4 NFL picks. I still have week 2 on here, so that's what just confused me. Last week I went 11-5. Josh, you went 10-6, and Taylor went 9-7, way better than his previous week. Josh, you are 2 games ahead of me in the lead at 32-15-1. I am 30-17-1, and Taylor is 3 weeks into the season, he is heading for a tattoo at 25-22-1. He's got to get a little more creative, and he's got to stop trusting bad teams, which I think is his biggest mistake.
Has he picked the Broncos all 3 weeks?
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem. I think he's trusted the Redskins too much at times. I think he's trusted the Vikings too much at times, certain teams. I think Taylor, and he might disagree with this, but he is a Kirk Cousins fanboy, and no one should be a Kirk Cousins fanboy.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins sucks.
I know he wanted him on the Broncos, and I said from the beginning, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Kirk Cousins is only good.
Kirk Cousins he's just a new age
passes.
He's a new age Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I wonder who he did that against.
Yeah. Your team. Okay, so a couple things. Nothing really crazy going on in the league. Obviously, the Antonio Brown saga continues. Maybe it's slowing down now. I can't say I'm over it because I'm so fascinated.
I'm not over it.
Why aren't you over it, Josh?
I'm not over it because I take 2 years off of fantasy football, jump right back into it. I would say, I've got this great draft plan. I'm going to wind up with AB, Julio Jones, and Odell Beckham, the 3 best wide receivers as far as fantasy goes. I'm going to wind up with all 3 of them. And what do? I wind up with all 3 of them as soon as it fucking happens. Antonio Brown released from the Raiders. Okay, cool, great, awesome. Antonio Brown picked up by the Patriots. Even better. Yeah. All right, hell yeah. Antonio Brown raped somebody.
11 days later. 11 days later, he's off the Patriots. How are you doing in fantasy 3 weeks in?
1-2.
Who's your one win against?
Ralph. Oh, wait, no. I forgot who.
I was hoping it was his wife.
No, I'm actually...
she was throwing shade at your fantasy team, man, so you better crush her.
What do you mean?
She said your team sucked.
My team, in theory, yeah, because I haven't won as much as she has.
No, she was saying it before the season even started that your team sucked. She was throwing shade, yo.
Oh my... Yo, she's been playing fantasy for like 2 fucking years.
She's better than you.
Yeah, because of Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was fucking playing.
She's also a teacher, so she's going to be smarter than us.
That's true. She is smarter than us. She's much smarter than us.
All the women in our lives are smarter than us, something that we've come to accept, especially in Ralph's case, because he's the shit. He's just pure shit. So when we get to these picks, as I said, Josh has a 2-game lead going into week 4. The first game of the week is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Green Bay Packers. Eagles coming off another last-second loss to the Detroit Lions this week. I'm like forgetting the games now. I'm fucking running on fumes. And the Packers with an impressive victory over what's happening to me? I'm losing it. They beat a bad team. I know they beat a bad team. Who'd they beat?
I forgot now.
Hold on. I need to know now. Very professional over here at You Watch I Listen. I think I have it up, actually, who the Packers played, and I think we all took them. The Broncos. That's why I was like, it was some dummy that picked the Broncos. Yeah, very impressive victory for the Packers again. Very, very good defense. Aaron Rodgers, I think he only hit the ground once the entire game. When's the last time you could say that about Aaron Rodgers? Because he used to get the shit kicked out of him. For this one, the Eagles are reeling. They had so many injuries before the game last week that they skipped a practice. They just did a walkthrough. Carson Wentz's guys are dropping balls all over the field. His offensive line isn't running back to protect him, which I thought was fucking crazy. You really have to question what's going on, if there's some kind of mutiny happening with his offensive line. But regardless, short notice with the amount of injuries the Eagles have against a very good Packers defense. And historically on Thursday night games, the home team wins. So for me, it's the Packers here. Josh?
Yep, Packers for me as well. Eagles are way too beat up to contend with how good this Packers team looks.
Yeah, I would agree. And Taylor also took the Packers as well. The next game is the Carolina Panthers at the Houston Texans. Another 4.5-point spread for the home team. So the Texans coming off a really, really impressive victory against the Chargers, where they couldn't really get their running game going, but Deshaun Watson prevailed. He only got sacked 2 times, which is an improvement. Panthers got their first win of the season with Kyle Allen having a huge game against the Arizona Cardinals. I could see this game being closer than I think people think it's going to be. They just see, they beat the Cardinals. There's the one theme with this week is that almost every game seems like it's just, that's easy. Yep. And when that happens, there's like a massive amount of upsets usually. But in this case, I think the Texans are playing really good football. I know Laramie Tunsil isn't practicing this week, or he hasn't practiced yet, so there's some concerns. And Carolina's defense is not bad. They have obviously a pretty good pass rush. They have Luke Kuechly. They can do some things. But I don't think Kyle Allen's going to be able to duplicate what he did to the Cardinals against the Texans. So for me, it's the Houston Texans at home.
I'm taking the home team here too. I agree with you. It could be a spoiler game.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one because the Texans, that's definitely it falls into a spoiler type game or a letdown game because they picked up this really good road win against a decent Chargers team, come from behind kind of thing. But I just think the Texans are more talented.
Yeah.
Unless Kyle Allen is suddenly this guy, it's kind of unlikely, although he played great last week. It's going to be on his shoulders if they want to win this game.
Yeah.
And Taylor also took the Texans. That's going to probably be a theme a lot this week, so it's going to be very tough to make up ground unless there's some differences. I'll let you take this next one. The Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens 7-point favorites at home.
Yeah, there's something going on in Cleveland.
It's called the Freddie Kitchens problem.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. The guy is not calling plays like he did down the stretch last year. Baker Mayfield does not have the same level of swagger that he did at the end of last season. There's a lot of miscommunication. Yep. There's a lot of missed timings on throws.
Sure. Are you still recording on there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. It went dark.
Yeah.
It scared me. Let's just make sure.
Imagine if it's not.
Let's just see. That would suck. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Professionalism, guys.
Yeah. So I'm taking the Ravens.
Okay.
I don't think, like I said a couple episodes ago, I think that the Browns are going to be inconsistent, up down. I can't see them winning on the road in a division.
Yeah,
now, based on what I've seen.
Against a really good Ravens team coming off a tough loss against a team they played tough in the Chiefs. The Browns, there is something going on, and I don't think it's anything beyond a Freddie Kitchens problem. I think that while he was a good offensive coordinator for them last year after Hugh Jackson was fired, he's taken on too much. And, the thing that usually can be most evident about a coach not having a grasp on his team is when there's excessive penalties every week. And the Browns have a shit ton of penalties. I think that there's too many. He's trying to do too much. I think he should give up offensive play calling as good as he was last year and focus on one thing. I mean, the numbers for Baker Mayfield when he does quick passes, he's awesome. When it's like a quick 3-step drop, get rid of the ball. When it's anything beyond a 3-step drop, it's awful because the tackles aren't holding up. The pressure is terrible. He's getting hit instantly. And of course, that swagger is going to go away when you're not confident in your offensive line. And until that's fixed, I can't necessarily pick them, especially against a team like the Ravens, who I think are one of the best teams in the AFC. So all three of us are also taking the Ravens. We are all in the same pick so far. Now this one could be interesting. The Washington Redskins at the New York Giants. Giants are 3-point favorites at home. Daniel Jones coming off one of the greatest rookie debuts ever for a quarterback. A come-from-behind victory. 2 rushing touchdowns. Showed incredible poise in the pocket. Literally, it was arguably the best rookie debut in NFL history for a quarterback. And for this one, I'm going to roll with the New York Football Giants. The Redskins are reeling. They have a lot of issues offensively, defensively. Jay Gruden is kind of coaching for his job. And usually, not always, but when a guy's coaching for his job, he starts making dumb decisions, like not starting his first-round quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, who could save his job, and sticking with Case Keenum. Case Keenum, by the way, is 3rd in the league in passing yards, if you want to know how inflated passing yards are in today's NFL. But the Giants did lose Saquon Barkley. That is a huge deal for up to 8 weeks, maybe longer. And I can't be stressed enough how that changes the dynamic of the game. Are the Redskins a better team than the Bucs? No, but it's not. It's a little bit closer than you think. The Redskins, they were up on their first 2 weeks. They had the Eagles beat. and they had the Cowboys. They were leading the Cowboys too, and then they fell apart. And then this past week they got crushed. But despite that, I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good game. I don't know if it's going to be as good now that we have a little tape on him. It's hard to say. I think Landon Collins is going to be highly motivated in this game to make a point against the Giants. So I'm going to predict that Daniel Jones' first interception will come this week at the hand of Landon Collins, but I'm still going to take the Giants in this game at home.
I'm going to take the Giants too. Why are you starting Case Keenum? I mean, come on.
Well, I understand the logic of it if you thought maybe the veteran can get us off to a decent start, kind of like what you did with Eli, even though I didn't agree with taking Eli because I don't think you keep a quarterback at $23 million when you draft one in the first round. But, yeah, you're not winning with Case Keenum. You're 0-3. Mm-hmm. You're in your 6th year as the head coach of the Redskins, and you have, one playoff appearance?
Yeah.
You got to prove something now that you can mentor this kid and build him up and coach him up and show that he was worth it and that you were smart for taking him. But you're being stubborn and sticking with Case Keenum because this is the Gruden family. This is what they do. The Giants should win this game. And then suddenly they become a relevant team after 4 weeks, which is very interesting. But I really liked what I saw from Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And while
it's good for you.
What?
Good for you if they win a couple games.
It's absolutely good for me if they win. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because the Giants are in this weird place as far as their offense goes. Not having Saquon is going to change a lot, but their defense is so bad, and you're going to put a lot on the shoulders of Daniel Jones early on. And do they have the pass catchers to keep up? They're going to get Golden Tate back after this week, I believe. So I'm excited to see. And I was very, very critical of the draft pick of Daniel Jones, but the second I saw how nasty Giants, and fuck you to Giants fans, the amount of Giants fans that shit on it, I'm allowed to. I'm not a Giants fan. I could shit on anyone. I could shit on my own guys too, and I'll openly admit I was wrong about someone. I won't say I was wrong about anyone now because one game doesn't prove anything, but the first game he was sensational. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see where his career goes. Next game, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. The Chargers are 16-point favorites. The reeling Los Angeles Chargers, who I don't think look very good despite their first win of the Week 1 victory, they're still going to win this game. I mean, the Dolphins played way better last week against the Cowboys. They had a chance to take the lead at the end of the first half before they fumbled it inside the 5-yard line, because why wouldn't they? Rosen played okay, because why wouldn't he, despite losing? They're fucking awful. They're going to be awful until they fucking spend all this money in the offseason and get draft picks, and they'll still probably be fucking awful, because fuck my ass. But despite that, the Chargers are going to win this game.
Yep.
This is the one, like, where we're saying, like, these games are so easy to pick. This should be the scary one, honestly.
Yeah.
Because that's always when it happens, when it's the one where, like, no chance. And the fact that, like, I was telling Grohow about this. The thing I'm looking for from Miami at this point is I want to see if the coaching staff can scheme well enough despite limited talent. And in the first half of the Cowboys game, they schemed incredibly well. I mean, they kept it it was within 2 points.
Yeah.
And I was excited to see that because they were doing things to the running game and the movements of the Cowboys offensive line or offensive play calling, and then it fell apart in the second half because you can only overcome a limit of talent for so long. But the Chargers are still going to win this game. If they don't, then it's time to tell Phillip Rivers to hit the bricks, because if you can't beat the Dolphins, this Dolphins team, then maybe you should get benched and start Case Keenum. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers as well.
Yeah, you don't think you need much more on that. Like, and Taylor's taking them. Taylor was also taking the Giants. We are literally all the same picks so far, which I don't necessarily love. So we'll see. The next game is the Oakland Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. The 2-1 Indianapolis Colts that should be 3-0 if not for Vinatieri laying an egg in Week 1. They should have won that game against the Chargers nonetheless. The Chargers could just as easily be 0-3, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
The Colts are a good team, man. They're running the ball great. They have probably the best offensive line in the league right now. You saw them this week. They were incredibly hard to get to pass rush-wise.
Yeah.
And Jacoby Brissett's playing really well. They have a really, really good defense. And the Raiders are the Raiders. The Raiders are 1-8 on the road going back to last year under John Gruden. They are not built to play from behind, and they're going to play from behind in this game. I got the Colts winning this one.
Remember when the Raiders were good a couple of years ago?
They had that 1 year with Derek Carr with Jack Del Rio as the head coach. Yeah, that was an interesting time when he threw like 38 touchdowns or something. Yeah, I don't think Carr's that good. I think he's okay. He's serviceable. He's a better Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? Like, Kirk Cousins is a better Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Derek Carr's a better Kirk Cousins. I think in certain systems and the right coaches, like, if you put Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr on the Ravens, Harbaugh would make it work.
Yeah.
I think he'd be decent in Jacksonville. a team like that was trying to use the Nick Foles system. You put him with the Eagles, Doug Peterson will get a lot out of him. I don't think Gruden has it in him to work that out with Derek Carr.
No.
And I don't know if Derek Carr has it in him necessarily either. So who are you taking in this one, Colts or Raiders?
I'm taking the Colts.
Okay. Taylor as well, so we're literally going down the line here. I think it's probably going to be this one too. The Chiefs at the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions could just as easily be 3-0. A nice surprise this early in the season. I think this game will be a little bit closer than people think. The Chiefs are 6.5-point road favorites, which is fucking a wild, wild spread to have. But it's going to be the same thing I've said with every Chiefs game recently, and I said it with the Ravens last week. They're going to put up points at some point, and can you keep up?
Yeah.
I don't think the Lions can keep up at this point. I don't know if any team, short of maybe the Patriots, can. Maybe the Saints when Drew Brees is healthy. Maybe. That's a gigantic maybe if you can keep up points-wise. The Lions are not a great defensive team. They're a pretty good defensive team, but so were the Ravens. And the Ravens were a really, really good defensive team. So for me, it's the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs too. Agree with you. I don't see them. I don't see the Lions keeping up with the point scoring ability.
It might be close in the first half, but you're going to see that second when Mahomes gets going. You know, the Chiefs under Andy Reid with Pat Mahomes have never scored less than 26 points in a game.
Really? Wow.
Think about that. That's a fucking wild stat. Like, you're happy when your team wins by 2017. If you're playing, like, the score's 2017. If you're playing the Chiefs, that tells you at a minimum you got to score 27 points. That's fucking crazy. And Taylor's also taking the Chiefs. The next game, a major AFC East showdown between the 3-0 New England Patriots and the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. Bills off to their first 3-0 start since in 7 years. The last time was with Ryan Fitzpatrick under center. Then they gave him a huge contract extension. How'd that go? What do you think?
Who's the home team?
The Bills. The Bills, who their last time they beat the Patriots was in Buffalo in that 3-0 start 7 years ago.
I'm going to take the Bills.
You're going to take the Bills. There's our first different pick. Okay, so you think the Bills are going to be able to match them offensively and defensively?
So I think that defensively they'll be better than a lot of us think because Julian Edelman's hurt.
Julian Edelman's hurt. Their offensive line is beat up. They just lost their all-pro fullback, James Devlin, for the year.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Your screen dimmed again. Fantastic fullback. Now, the one thing with the Patriots, their defense hasn't given up a touchdown since the AFC Championship game. That's crazy.
That's insane.
And Devin McCourty's playing the best football of his career. Stephon Gilmore might be the best corner in the league right now. I don't think you're crazy for taking the Bills. That building is going to be crazy. Those fans are going to be crazy. When you see those Bills Mafia videos from this tailgate, they're going to be going wild because this is the first time Bills fans have had true hope in forever.
Yeah.
And they see a quarterback that might be the answer. And they see a team that might be a playoff team. And what's really going to happen is they'll probably fall apart and not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened the last time. But this is a chance for them to make a statement. The only thing the Bills can't do here is get blown out. Because if they get blown out, people are going to be like, oh, they're not for real. And if they play competitively and lose, people will be like, this Bills team is for real. If they win, it's a different conversation. But if they get blown out by 2-3 scores, then the narrative is completely different. That 3-0 start doesn't have as good a feeling because you're going to look at who they beat. The Jets, the Giants, the Bengals.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, oh, okay. So I'm taking the Patriots here. Again, that defense is just unbelievable. To not give up a touchdown through 3 weeks of the season and not give up one since the AFC Championship game, and that was the Chiefs, is pretty wild. And Taylor is also taking the Patriots. Next game, Josh. Tennessee Titans at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 4-point home favorites. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Titans for the same reason the last time I picked against the Falcons. The Falcons will probably win, but I'm picking the Titans just to
spite
myself. What a fucking dog shit example of coaching and fucking...
Are you blaming most of the Falcons' problems on the coaching?
I'm blaming all of the Falcons' problems on the coaching. Okay. I'm not blaming it on the front office because how can you take a team with such a collection of talent and put dog shit on the field
and to get off terrible offensive starts with that offense?
So I'm not even talking offensively. I'm talking defensively. You've got a defense with...
Wait, are you implying that your head coach is supposed to be a defensive wizard?
I am implying that. So how do you take a defense with the talent levels of Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett, Vic Beasley, Tack McKinley, Keanu Neal, who.
Yeah, and he got a penalty for that too.
Yeah, I know. How stupid. How fucking stupid is that bullshit? The guy fucking ruptures his Achilles on the
slammed
field.
his helmet down in anger.
Like how? What an asshole referee. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. That's what I have to say. But no, seriously.
Bigger fuck you to the referee or the Falcons right now.
The Falcons.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons are another team just like the Chargers, where they could very easily be 0-3 right now.
Yeah.
And they haven't had a game, even in that win, where they looked like a playoff team.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan doesn't look like himself. And is that the offensive play calling? Is it him? I mean, he's...
Well, if you look at Matt Ryan, so the one thing I'll say about Matt Ryan is that...
looks good in women's lingerie. Those pictures.
The one thing I'll say about Matt Ryan is that even when he's bad, he's still good.
Serviceable at minimum.
So in the years that he had the highest number of interceptions, he had 17, 16, and 18 in 3 stretches of years. Who was his offensive coordinator during those years? Dirk Cutter.
Sure.
So Dirk Cutter's back. He's throwing a lot of picks.
So you brought back the guy that led him to his worst football of his career.
But even then, like his QB rating is still high. Still in the 90s, high 80s in those 3 seasons. Yeah, he
was just more turnover prone.
He was just, he's throwing 30 touchdowns, but he's throwing 17 interceptions. And I mean, I hearkened it back to Favre a couple of weeks ago. How many times did Favre throw 29 touchdowns and 20 interceptions?
You're not wrong. And you could do that if you have a smothering defense or a really good running game because you can control the clock on both sides of the ball.
And they could have a smothering defense if they were coached well.
Yeah, and Devontae Freeman doesn't look like himself. He's knocking off the rust, and this has to be close to the end for Dan Quinn if things don't turn around. You would think.
If they don't make the playoffs this year, he's done.
You would think so. And so you're taking the Titans. Taylor and I are both taking the Falcons. So I was having this conversation with my buddy Jeff again about this game, and for him, he said the Titans were a no-brainer, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Marcus Mariota just got sacked 9 times in a game, and he's like, well, the Falcons don't have that kind of pass rush. I was like, yeah,
but they do.
But they have a pass rush, sure. They sacked Jacoby Brissett once against the best offensive line in the league. They have a decent pass rush, but tell me what defense is going to consistently put up 9 sacks unless they're playing an offensive line as terrible as the Titans? Yeah. None of them. No, they don't have the Jaguars' defensive line. Not many teams do. That's a ridiculous defensive line.
Well, I will say that
they're not the Jaguars' defensive line.
But they have a very
they have a good defensive line. They don't have but they have good enough. Like, this is the way I see it. If you have the Jaguars' pass rush is good enough that against the best offensive line, they'll probably get 3 or 4 sacks, right? So against a really bad defensive line, they put up fucking 9 is bordering on historic. The Titans don't have playmakers on either side of the ball. Mariota's got his 5th straight different offensive coordinator. That's exactly what happened to Alex Smith his first 6 years in the league, where it was a different offensive coordinator every year until Harbaugh. It's terrible for a quarterback's development. They're going on the road. They proved that, and you have a bad offensive line, it's even worse on the road, but the Falcons fans haven't exactly been showing out in droves. I heard a ton of Eagles fans at that game against the Eagles too, but it's not like the Titans have a wild fan base. But for me, it's the Falcons in this game, and Taylor is also taking them. Next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams 10-point home favorites. You saw what the Bucs did. Bruce Arians is making you look like an asshole this year.
Yeah, he is.
He took a penalty for delay a game because my kicker is better from further away, despite the fact he missed 2 extra points in that same game. I mean, this one's a no-brainer. I haven't been super impressed with the Rams. They could have very easily lost to the Browns, probably should have. And if Drew Brees was in that game still, they probably would have won, because the fact that Sean Payton went so conservative after he went down with injury. But I haven't been as impressed with the Rams as I was last year. Despite that, I haven't been impressed with the Bucs at all, besides playing the Cam Newton shell game against the Panthers, because Cam Newton's not himself anymore. For me, this is easy. It's the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams.
I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on it. And Taylor also took them. Next game, Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle are 5-point home favorites. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle.
Yeah, I would have to say so. I mean, I thought if the Cardinals were going to win a game this year, it was last week against the Panthers at home. And, they're at home again playing the Seahawks team coming off a really, really bad loss to the Saints at home. If you look at the final score, it looks like it was a close game. And if you look at the yardage, they outgained the Saints like 510 yards to 290.
Yeah,
it wasn't that close.
And New York Yankees second baseman Russell Wilson is playing very well. So.
He's playing great. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league for my money. And they're always in the playoffs.
Also, New York Yankees second baseman.
Yeah, New York Yankees. We get it. Dude, Pete Alonso's 1 home run away from tying Aaron Judge's rookie record.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. It's 5 games.
You-
5 games. 5 games for
you know
5
what?
games.
Time out.
5 games for Mets to Met.
Time out for football really quick, because you're a cunt. When the fucking Yankees had injuries, you cursed them because you picked them to go to the World Series. Yeah, what? Tell me now, motherfucker. Tell me now, motherfucker.
All right, now they won 100 games.
Yeah, exactly. And they're still probably going to lose to the Astros.
Hey.
Who's your best starter?
Domingo Herman.
Yeah, he's your best starter. He's best at starting domestic abuse. So, yeah, the Seahawks, are we all taking the Seahawks here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Cardinals, they might have another one-and-done coach in Cliff Kingsbury because his innovative air raid offense doesn't look all that innovative. It was like when Chip Kelly came over. It was like, Chip Kelly, at least the pace was different, and teams tried to copy that.
Yeah.
But there was the same level of success, or lack of success, rather. Next game, this is a good game. This is the closest spread so far. The Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. Both teams at 2-1. For me, this is an easy one. Because I've made it very clear how I feel about Kirk Cousins, and I know the Vikings aren't very good on the road. I could very easily see the Vikings going 8-0 at home this year and 0-8 on the road. The Bears' defense is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is they don't have. There's no faster linebacking core in the league besides maybe the Cowboys, and the things that they can do offensively when they're going well, as far as creativity with Matt Nagy, is awesome. And I don't think Minnesota can really do what they want to do on the road in a hostile environment. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It's the Bears.
Yeah, anytime you're putting a defense like that up against Kirk Cousins, I'm taking the defense.
You're going to take the defense. So you're taking the Bears, and Taylor's taking the Vikings. So we only have 3 so far that are different in some way. Which tells me this whole week's going to be a clusterfuck. There's going to be some wild fucking upsets this week.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to end up being like 2-4 or 2-13 because there's only 15 games this week. The next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Denver Broncos. Yeah, Taylor's Broncos are a mess.
Yeah,
he tried telling me that they're one of the 3 worst teams in the league, or that they might be as bad as the Dolphins. I'm like, dude, they're not worse than the Jets. They're not worse than the Dolphins. They're probably not worse than the Redskins. But their new head coach, Vic Fangio, coming over from the Bears last year, he's been one of the most respected defensive coordinators in the NFL for like 20 years now. He's been a coach in the NFL since 1986. Maybe there's a reason he had to wait so long to get a head coaching job, because he has Von Miller and Bradley Chubb backing up into coverage. The Bears defense, or the Broncos defense rather, doesn't have a sack, an interception, or a forced fumble this season yet.
That's insane.
When you think about the players on that defense, Chris Harris, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, and you don't have any of those things. You should have a sack by accident.
Yeah, seriously.
And for me, Jacksonville, I am all about Gardner Minshew. He's my fucking dude. I love him. I think it's great when a 6th-round pick not named Tom Brady plays really well.
Yep.
And the Jaguars' defense is really good. If they can get the running game going at all. It's going to be a tough environment in Denver, and Denver is due. This is one of these games that you can't be too sure about, because what's the Jaguars' identity? What are the Broncos doing? But for me, I'm confident in taking Jacksonville.
I'm going to take the Broncos solely on them being the home team.
Okay. That's why I took them in week 2 after losing to the Raiders, and they fucked me.
Denver's a tough place to play, especially for a young player like Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that guy gives a fuck, though.
Yeah.
Did you hear that story about him breaking his own hand? He wanted to get injury redshirted his freshman year.
Yeah.
He took a fucking hammer and smashed his own hand and told the team that he got stuck in a car door.
Okay.
He's a fucking maniac, dude.
Yeah.
I love him. His outfits he wears, I adore the guy. He's wearing Speedos. He's me.
Yeah.
He's me. I love it. So you're going to take the Broncos just based on being a home, and you don't think the Jaguars are all that good either.
Yeah.
So take the home team. I almost always think you take the home team when it's 2 bad teams. There's exceptions, obviously. So you're going to take the Broncos. Taylor's actually taking Jacksonville.
Wow.
So he's in the same boat as you now. It took me 1 week to jump off my team's bandwagon. The Sunday night game. This is a pretty good one, actually. Probably game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys at the New Orleans Saints. We just talked about it a minute ago. The Saints had a ridiculously impressive victory victory on the road in Seattle, where, when Drew Brees went down in that game against the Rams, Sean Payton got super conservative with the play calling. Of course, you don't have Drew Brees in the game anymore. What are you supposed to do? So I was interested to see how he was going to use the offense this week with a full week of training camp and a full week to game plan. And he put together a very efficient game plan. Alvin Kamara is like watching a video game. He is a human joystick. He is ridiculous. And they got him the ball exactly the times they needed to. They gave up 500 yards of offense, but their defense played way better than that stat line indicates. That game was not as close as the final score says. And the Cowboys are 3-0, coming off beating the Dolphins. Okay. Like, who isn't going to beat the Dolphins? But I don't like the Giants fans saying they haven't beaten anyone. They beat who's in front of them. You are what your record says you are. If you're 0-3 and you lost in the last second of every game, guess what? You're still 0-3. If you blew a lead in the fourth quarter, you're still 0-3. And they beat the teams in front of them, and they beat the majority of them handily. Yeah. They won by double digits in each of these games, did they not? Like, it's not a fluke that they're playing well. Now they're going to be going to New Orleans against a team that still has life, even without Drew Brees sitting at 2-1. And you have to be confident that they want to make a statement in the NFC, and that even without our superstar, future Hall of Fame quarterback, that we can beat the good teams. And for that reason, I am taking the New Orleans Saints at home to give the Cowboys their first loss of the season.
I'm taking the Cowboys.
Okay.
I like the defense. I think
defense is great.
I think the defense is playing really well. The Saints are at home, yeah, but there's going to be somewhat conservatism too.
Sure. It's more of a ball control.
To...
It's more ball control than it's like a vertical type game like it is with Drew Brees. You're not going to see him hitting passes 30 yards in the seam like Drew Brees does so well.
Yeah,
that's not his game.
And to me, also on the offensive side of things, Dak is earning the money that he's asking for.
I've said it from the beginning. He deserves it. Like, no, he's not Tom Brady. He's not Drew Brees. He's not Aaron Rodgers. Who the fuck is?
Yeah.
Like, he who's to say he can't be as good as a Ben Roethlisberger? Like, yes, he has a stacked team around him. He's a very good quarterback. Have you seen his fourth quarter numbers? He's got the best passer rating since he came in the league in the fourth quarter, the most fourth quarter comeback since he came in the league. The kid is no joke. He plays well with what's around him. As long as you don't expect him to be Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, he's fine.
Yeah.
And this is a tough game. I'm not confident in my Saints pick at all. But I think at home, it's almost like the two bad teams at home. Who's at home? Two decent teams. You really can't tell the difference between these teams as far as quality.
Yeah.
The Saints' schedule has been tougher. They played some better teams. And then you look at the Cowboys. They've kind of had cookie cutter games so far, but they won them decisively. I think another full week with Teddy Bridgewater, they can get Taysom Hill more involved. I think that Sean Payton and that team is going to be highly motivated to make a statement that even without Drew Brees, we are the best team in the NFC, and you're going to just take the Cowboys, and so is Taylor. So at least we have a couple different here in the Sunday slate of games, because the Monday night game is pure dog shit, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 0-3 Bengals, the 0-3 Steelers. The Steelers, who had no business losing to the 49ers with the way they played, and they blew it anyway. It was cool to see Minkah Fitzpatrick have a good game in his first one for the Steelers. I was happy for him. Had an interception, a forced fumble, and he got stiff-armed to hell by the fullback. Did you see that stiff arm?
Yeah.
Yo, he fucking judo threw him while he was running with the ball. I'm actually going to take the Bengals here. I think the Steelers are in a position that they are not used to. I think that the fan base isn't used to it either, so this home crowd isn't going to be exactly hostile or loud. I think the Bengals have actually played some decent football besides the 49ers game. They should have beat the Bills this week. They had them right there. If they had a bit more talent, they probably would have won. They should have won in week 1 against the Seahawks. They played the shit out of them too. And, I think if you're a Bengals player and you're a Bengals coach, you got to be like, this is the first time the Steelers are as bad as us. Let's make sure they're worse than us. I don't know. It's a toss-up game. You're picking two dog shit teams. The main reason I took the Bengals this week is because there's usually about 4 upsets a week, 3 to 4 on average. I think the actual average number over season is like 3.5, and I only had 2, so I had to take another one. I'm taking the Bengals. And no interest, really, but...
Yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers at home. Same reason as before. 2 bad teams. Taking the home team.
Okay. So we got our picks in here. Thankfully, we have a couple different. But that's like straight down, it's all 3 of us early on.
Yeah.
But the games I'm really excited for are obviously the Cowboys and Saints. Minnesota-Chicago is a good game. Giants, Redskins. I just want to see more of Daniel Jones. I am interested in Browns, Ravens because I like AFC North games. They tend to be the most physical every year.
Yeah.
All right, so this was episode 70 of You Watch, I Listen. Again, for any betting purposes, go to betdsi.com. Use our bets, man. Make some fucking money. Don't listen to Taylor's, but listen to ours because we are far ahead of him.
Yes.
I'm doing my usual thing where I come out slow out of the gate and then I catch up and win by the end of the year. I did this to Ralph last year. It's going to happen to you this year.
I'm okay with it.
You just have to worry about Taylor. Yeah, you just don't want to be last.
Yeah.
Taylor, this might be a problem for you, buddy. But yeah, this is episode 70. You Watch, I Listen. The picks this week, I gave Midsummer as a movie, and Josh gave Circus Survive, Blue Sky Sunrise.
Blue Sky Noise.
Noise. Why did I write Blue Sky Sunrise?
I don't know.
Oh, what a stupid jerk. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Peace. I almost went to grab the mouse to turn it off.